Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing a complete breakdown of the exact strategic blueprint used to take dense, high-level academic research and scale it into a global, high-impact media brand. We're looking at a fascinating system here, one that perfectly bridges the gap between really rigorous, deep academic knowledge and massive public inspiration. It's going to be a great ride, so let's get right into it. To give you a quick roadmap of where we're headed, we've got 5 main stops on our agenda today. First, the anatomy of academic virality. Then, the Impact TV rebrand. Third, building the multi-platform ecosystem. Fourth, the 14-day production pipeline. And finally, translating science to policy. Let's jump right into part 1.
All right, section 1, anatomy of academic virality, visualizing explosive growth.
We're actually starting with the end result here, just to show you right out of the gate that yes, academic content can absolutely capture massive, explosive attention. I mean, just look at this data. We are talking about a 921% surge in visibility. That's over 15,000 impressions on a single piece of content. Honestly, this completely shatters that old myth that educational material is just too dry for social media. When you format intellectual content correctly, highbrow academic research can absolutely achieve incredible viral growth.
But you know what? The real magic here is the network penetration. Check out that massive 91% right there. That engagement was entirely out of network. Think about that for a second. It proves that a well-built media engine doesn't just preach to the choir. It actively breaks through the algorithms to capture brand new audiences, people who aren't even following you yet. It's a total game changer for vastly expanding a scholar's global influence.
Moving on to section 2, the Impact TV rebrand, shifting from niche to global. So, to achieve that massive level of global scale we just talked about, a strategic pivot in identity was absolutely necessary. You'll see on the left we have the original GSLSN Academy. Now, this was a highly credible but very niche hub for technical sustainability coursework. It was kind of like a single specialized seedling. But over on the right, you see the evolution. Impact TV. By transitioning away from that strictly siloed niche, the network literally opens its doors to the entire universe of academic disciplines. We're talking everything from quantum physics to ancient history. It preserves all of that original prestige, sure, but scales it up into a premium media network that's really focused on humanizing the scholars themselves. But as we all know, a rebrand is really just a fresh coat of paint without real institutional weight behind it. And that is exactly why Impact TV operates as a digital media project powered by its parent company, ALPHACEE Digital Solutions Ltd. Having this officially registered corporate umbrella serves as a massive anchor of trust. It comes complete with its RC number and robust trademark security, which is absolutely crucial. Why? Because it gives these high-profile global professors the total confidence they need. They know for a fact they're collaborating with a legitimate, legally compliant entity that is fully capable of preserving their intellectual legacy. All right, let's jump into section 3, the multi-platform ecosystem, otherwise known as the content loop. Let's look at how all this builds into a highly interconnected machine. This matrix breaks down exactly how a single 60-minute virtual interview is deliberately, and I mean very deliberately, translated across 4 distinct platforms. First, the main documentary format goes straight to YouTube for the global public. Then, the core narrative of that interview fuels the Wisdom Quest newsletter on LinkedIn, specifically targeting professional networks. After that, the hard empirical data gets turned into executive slide decks on ResearchGate for policymakers. And finally, the whole shebang, the transcribed wisdom, is preserved in a physical legacy book series for institutional scholars. The brilliant thing here is that you capture the knowledge just once, but you distribute its impact everywhere. Of course, to actually drive traffic into that content loop, you have to win the click first, right? Notice this strict, highly optimized 3-part grid layout they use for the YouTube thumbnails. It's really clever. The left third features a crisp, expressive cutout of the guest's face. The center third holds this subtle, almost abstract symbol representing their specific academic field. And then the right third delivers an emotional text hook. We're talking 3 words maximum, something like "my greatest failure." It perfectly balances that deep academic prestige with just irresistible clickability. Now, when you couple that striking visual design with this highly strategic 3-layer tag system, it ensures that search engines know exactly who needs to see the video. Layer 1 anchors the core corporate brand. Layer 2 steps out a bit to capture the broad academic and educational niche. And then Layer 3 gets super granular, targeting the highly specific research topic alongside the professor's actual name.
This layered search engine optimization blueprint basically guarantees that these deep, intellectual discussions are accurately indexed and heavily pushed to the exact right viewers by the YouTube algorithm.
That brings us to Section 4, the 14-day production pipeline, the biweekly engine.
Listen, operating a multi-platform beast like this, it absolutely requires a strict, manageable operational cadence. Without it, your production team would burn out in a week, for sure. So this 14-day timeline maps out the exact flow. Day 1 is your high-definition virtual recording session. By day 3, AI transcripts are already generated and the raw video is edited. Day 8 is the big YouTube drop, fully paired with that SEO and LinkedIn integration. And finally, by day 14, the science policy translation decks hit ResearchGate. It is just a beautifully, perfectly calibrated engine. And as you can see from this quote, hitting that bi-weekly release cadence is literally the absolute sweet spot. Think about it. A monthly schedule is just way too slow for the algorithm to build any real momentum. On the flip side, trying to do this weekly would completely crush your editorial team, especially when you factor in the deep transcription and complex slide deck creation required. So 14 days? That gives you the exact essential breathing room you need to extract the maximum possible value from every single scholar you profile before moving right on to the next one.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Translating Science to Policy, the Academic Proof.
This is arguably the most vital piece of the entire explainer, how you actually turn all this raw data into real-world change. Take a look at this sustainability dividend scatterplot. What it's doing is mapping a nation's scientific AI readiness against its climate action performance. Now, this is brilliant, heavy, empirical science. But let's be honest, it's incredibly dense. If you just post a chart like this online, it is going to get completely lost in the noise. It desperately requires translation.
So to make sure this vital data doesn't just sit unread in some dusty academic journal, Impact TV translates it into highly readable science policy translation notes. These are beautifully structured, swipeable 8-slide decks tailor-made for LinkedIn and ResearchGate. The core translation always breaks down into 3 key beats. Beat 1, what is the core societal challenge and the status quo? Beat 2, what is the key scientific evidence and empirical data? And Beat 3, what actionable policy directives and scalable innovations must leaders actually implement? It completely decodes the dense data, essentially handing corporate boards and governments the exact step-by-step blueprint for real innovation. But the crazy thing is, the impact doesn't even stop in the digital realm. Beyond the videos and the digital policy decks, the network offers this truly unique incentive called the co-publishing privilege. The featured scholars actually receive full access to independently print and distribute physical copies of a legacy book anthology that features their life's work right within their own academic networks. It is such a brilliant, highly emotional prestige hook. It just beautifully bridges the gap between modern, fast-paced digital media and the timeless, physical prestige of traditional academic legacy preservation. So, as you reflect on this incredibly well-structured blueprint for scaling intellectual influence, everything from those high-converting thumbnails to the policy-shifting slide decks, I want you to really ask yourself something. If your life's work was translated into a global media ecosystem tomorrow, what legacy would you leave behind? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deep dive sparks some massive, exciting ideas for your own world-changing projects.